I've been playing a lot of Roblox in my off time recently, and as such I've discovered many games. Some were decent, some were good, and some I may have become addicted to. Such is the case for the topic of today's video, the epic and atmospheric Abyssal. Hello and welcome to the Absolute Gamecast. Today I'd like to discuss Abyssal, a collaborative platformer obby game developed by Next Reality Games. The game was posted to Roblox on August 13th, 2023 and is still being updated to this day. I'm going to get into more detail now, but before I do, I highly recommend playing this game blind and coming back to this video afterward. Abyssal is set in a world known as the Abyss, a world inhabited by a species called Abyss Walkers, who fled there 2,000 years ago after the destruction of the sacred land on the world's surface they came from. Most Abyss Walkers are accompanied by small wisp-like entities known as Witnesses, which at the cost of Abyss energy harvested from around the Abyss, gives them access to all their powers while equipped. Many years later, a group of Abyss Walkers, including yourself, decide to climb their way back up to the surface to see if the threat is past or not. That's the basic gist of the game's story, and while it is pretty simple, it's also very solid overall, and doesn't take away from the gameplay, which I'll get into soon. But beyond that, there's a surprisingly deep well of lore in this game. Found throughout the game are various hidden secrets and types of environmental storytelling, such as structures, notes, and character dialogue hinting at a deeper story. There are still secrets I haven't even found yet, and I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't played this game, so you can discover them for yourself. Each floor is littered with platforms to climb and puzzles to solve, many of which being very fun and tense. Some parts of the game can be a little challenging as well, with floor 5 featuring a labyrinth of warp pads that can be pretty confusing to navigate. Many of the Abyss's lower floors are dark atmospheric caves, desolate cities, and either natural or artificial structures filled with lots of fellow Abyss Walkers there to engage in friendly conversation, give players quests, or provide hints about what you should do next. However, as you ascend to the final floor, you notice the environment start to become more vibrant and grand. You also begin to notice fewer and fewer people the closer you get to the surface. Much of the game's atmosphere comes from the world design itself, but it's also enhanced greatly by the game's soundtrack. The soundtrack of the game was made by Fox Music, and it is so good. Most songs in the game are either melancholic piano or epic synth music pieces that cycle between pauses for ambience. I enjoyed the game's music so much, there were a few times I would pull up the OST on YouTube and vibe to it while working on various projects, including this video. Regardless of what floor you're on, the music fits the atmosphere perfectly. In the lower floors, the piano fills you with a sense of tension and loneliness, but can also sometimes be surprisingly peaceful, while the synth music is used to encourage you in the deeper floors and congratulate you in the higher floors. As a result, the tone always feels balanced, escalating the dread of the environment when needed, but also taking breaks to pump up the player and provide some variety to keep the scene fresh. However, remember how I mentioned that as you climb higher, you see less and less people? That doesn't mean you're alone exactly. Probably one of the most chilling details about this game is that as you climb higher, you begin coming across the corpses of failed adventurers, ones who were never quite able to make it to the top alive. Most of their bodies are found off the beaten path discarded, with their witnesses still guarding their deceased owners. This is extremely disturbing for obvious reasons, but to me the most disturbing thing about finding these bodies is that if things had gone differently, either you could have joined them or maybe they could have survived, but they didn't, and now their innocent witnesses, who were likely with them to the end, are doomed to spend every waking moment attached to the remains of their allies, passing on their tragedy to the next generation. Overall, this game's story and design is extremely solid and well thought out, with lots of secrets to find and people to meet. With Abyssal being an obby game, it should come as no surprise that you do a lot of jumping. However, unlike the vast majority of Roblox obbies, there's far more depth to the mechanics than you might expect. Firstly, as mentioned in the story segment, you're accompanied by a witness with different abilities, depending on what combination of the 17 traits your witness has. You either gain a passive buff that can increase the player's jump height, run speed, or energy collection, and can also allow the player to utilize any possible combination of the 8 available abilities: dash, glide, dolphin swim, high jump, moon jump, hover, and sprint. You also have access to a double jump that once used has to be recharged. Luckily, doing so is very easy. Just stand near a player or certain NPCs for a few seconds and your double jump is instantly restored. This is where the collaborative part of the game comes into effect, since if you group up with other players, you effectively have an infinite double jump as long as you stick together. Your final special ability is the ability to literally rewind time. That way, if you happen to fall or miss a jump, as long as you have enough energy, you can just... Your final special ability is... What just happened? Anyway. Another important thing to note is that throughout the Abyss, you can find a special resource known as Abyss Energy, which can be found in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. They also respawn daily after being collected, so you always have access to more if you need it. Aside from being necessary to use your abilities and unlock new cosmetics, they can also be used at the various shops found on each floor to buy select new cosmetics, new witnesses, and can be used to change your glow color at shops or in the wild. You can also find echoes hidden around the map, which are occasionally used to unlock new buildings or other areas, with there being 55 in total. Once a floor has been completed, if you return to the start of the floor, you can also take on a new optional floor challenge. Abyssal features a challenge mode, and it is brutal. In this mode, you start one of the 6 floors off again, except this time your witness is taken away, which means no rewinding, no double jump, and no abilities. To finish the challenge, you have to reach the shrine at the end of the floor and interact with it to receive 1,000 Abyss energy as a reward. While it can admittedly be very brutal, it can also be pretty fun, and I've personally found the challenge to be a good way to test my skills after beating the game, so if you're interested in a decent challenge, I recommend trying it. Finally, Abyssal also features 2 other types of side challenges, those being group challenges and ability challenges. Group challenges are held in areas scattered throughout floors, with some floors featuring multiple, most being made up of a series of tall platforms that require multiple double jumps to reach. Due to the sheer amount of double jumps, it's basically mandatory to bring at least one other player along to recharge your double jump between each jump. Upon clearing the course, there are typically rewards at the end, such as energy, echoes, and sometimes cosmetics. If you can gather a group, these are pretty fun and rewarding to complete. And for the ability challenges, most of them can be completed alone, however they require one of the 8 witness abilities to be completed. Once you do, there are similar rewards waiting for you at the end. I admittedly haven't really tried many of these at the moment, since I mostly only used one witness for my whole playthrough, but the ones I did attempt have been somewhat challenging, and I do plan on trying to find more in the future. Much like the story, Abyssal's gameplay is also very in-depth. It flows very well and has a lot of side content for interested players to seek out. After getting my bearings, I found myself mastering it pretty quickly and was able to finish the game with little to no issues. That's about all I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If by some miracle anyone who worked on this game happens to see this video, you guys did a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes from this game and any others from your team. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Not going to force you. Do what you want. Thanks for tuning in, and that's a video. Bye.